sorry. I said,
Oh, did you?
use a guide.
Oh, okay.
So just do a search over there.
I'm gonna-
Use
yeah,
a
I'm gonna
guide,
do
and
it.
then open it in iBooks. And then you got it.
Okay.
And that'll take you, you'll learn everything you need to know.
Thank you.
Oh, really? Yeah. Congratulations. That's a big deal. Okay.
Social life.
Yeah. Okay. Sometime later, we're going to be going for a couple weeks.
We're having a lot of rain. But, where do you see it?
From coast to the on the Kona side of the and then you go south. Yeah, white sand, there's two white sand and the black sand. For a quarter mile from the black sand. Be there for a couple weeks.
Still, if you're going real soon, when you go.
Workshop Friday, just after.
Really?
Just after, just about midway through.
No, I lived it. Yes, he said that you.
Need to come in and participate.
We've only seen one way off. I wouldn't even sort of when you see a whale, unless you know what they're looking for, you don't really know. It's in Maui, it's easy.
We're back. Good evening, everyone, and we are back in session after closed session, and we're missing several board members tonight, but we do have a quorum. There is our clerk, Marcia Milchecker, is not here, and there was nothing to report out after closed session. So with that, we will go to the invocation. I ask that you rise, and Trustee Mike Meldau will lead us in that.
Yesterday and today we experienced a thrill and exhilaration of knowing that an intrepid American explorer reached the deepest depths of the ocean. I'd like to ask for a moment of silence to celebrate this achievement and the achievement of all those who dare to explore, as exemplified in our own students, faculty, and staff who achieve amazing explorations each and every day. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Okay, and if you would all address the flag, and I'll lead you in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and I believe we do not have any resolutions tonight. Is that correct? So we will now move to public comments. Do we have anyone wishing to address the board? Okay, seeing that we have none, we'll go to reports. We'll start with board reports. Trustee Mike Meldau.
There we go. Yes, what I would like to talk about tonight is the fact that I'm really looking forward to going to the foundation event at Saddleback College this weekend. And I just want to say that the foundation is an extremely important part of this college and this community. And those people that serve on the board of trustees for the foundation exemplify all that's good in this community. And the foundation does a wonderful job at making sure that our students are able to attend college, to get an education, to obtain their goals. And I'm very excited to be at another foundation dinner. So I look forward to that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Trustee Prendergast.
No report.
Okay, thank you. All right, and it's now my turn, and I will just say that I also will be attending the Saddleback College Foundation event this Saturday, and look forward to that. And I have been to several events in the interim, but I will leave that for now, and we'll go to the next board member, Trustee Lang.
Yes, thank you. Welcome to everyone this evening. Just a couple of things that I wanted to say. Had a chance to go to the memorial service for Lee Rhodes on Saturday. Really a very nice service. Not probably too many here remember Lee. He was a trustee early on, certainly when I first came on the board, a real gentleman, a person that was quiet but very insightful, and did just a terrific job as a member of this board for many years. And a lot of nice comments at the memorial service from a lot of folks that have long histories, particularly here at Saddleback. Richard Sneed was there, Jim Thorpe was there, and many others of the founding faculty here at Saddleback College. In addition, I wanted to acknowledge the recent passing of Dean McCormick. Dean served on the County Board of Education for many years. I don't know how many folks here knew him, but also a very solid citizen, somebody who spent a lot of years involved in education and educational causes, and Dean will also be missed, so thank you.
All right, very good. And our student trustee?
No report this evening. Thank you.
Okay, very good. And we are now at the Chancellor's report.
No report.
Oh, my goodness. All right, the next item on the agenda is board requests for report, and we do have two such requests. The first one is for a report on our college's veterans programs and the ideas for expanding and increasing these services to include our third campus as well as others. So that was my request, and I would like to ask if there are any questions and then call for a vote on that request for report.
Move approval.
All right, moved by Trustee Lang, second by Trustee Prendergast, so let's vote on the item. Okay, and the matter carries with 4 yes votes and a student advisory vote yes and 3 absents. Thank you. Our next request is a request from Trustee Prendergast for a report on the possibility of purchasing an Olympic trials pool for Irvine Valley College. And he has, of course, a lot of good experience to draw on for that. So any questions about that? Trustee Lang.
Move approval for the
Moved by
request.
Trustee Lang, seconded by Trustee Meldau. Seeing no one wanting to question it, let's vote on the item. All right, again, carries with 4 yes votes, so it's student advisory yes, and 3 absent votes. All right, we are now at our discussion item, and that is the Design Build Construction Delivery System to be presented by Brandye D'Lena. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello.
And Ms. D'Lena is our Director of Facilities and Planning and Purchasing. Computer problems?
Nope, it's just a little slow on the uptake, but I think we're there now. It doesn't look like, is it showing up on your screen?
No, it was, I think, but now it's off.
Looks like we have, oh, there we go. Someone's hearing us.
Okay, there we go.
Yay.
And if you could just get a little closer to your mic. Thank you.
Better?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a information item on the design build delivery process. I'm just going to jump right in. So we've all observed the effect that the current economy has had on the construction industry, and particularly in the cases of our IVC and Saddleback campuses. In the last few years, both Saddleback and IVC have had projects where the original contractor went bankrupt, and we've had to wait for no less than 6 months while we've reestablished agreements with the surety and then move forward with the project. Additionally, both Saddleback and IVC have experienced projects that have resulted in a schedule delay. We believe that this is because the contractor underbid the work to get the job and then didn't have the resources to meet the contract requirements. At Saddleback Library, this approach resulted in a 7-month delay, and at the IVC Life Sciences project, the contractor has recognized their problems and asked the surety for fiscal assistance to avoid bankruptcy. So 4 out of our last 4 major projects. That's not a good record, and they're all experiencing great difficulty as contractors struggle to maintain their existence in a low bid environment. Alrighty, so if you have you seen the slide before? In this picture, there's a dinghy, and the dinghy is named Original Contract. The bigger boat is named Change Order. This is a representation of the type of mentality that comes along with the low bid environment. Some very successful contractors play the game like this. You tell me what you want, I'll tell you what I'll pay for it, then I'm going to spend the rest of the project looking for changes so that I can increase my profit. And I got to tell you, it takes a lot of the fun out of building these beautiful and amazing buildings that we're developing on our campuses. And this approach just flat out isn't working for anyone anymore. Word on the street is that 30% of the subcontractors who are holding licenses at the beginning of 2012 will not be holding licenses at the end of 2012. Every time a sub goes under, the general contractor has to go to the next person to get them to perform the work, and that next person is more expensive. So that big boat picture, the profit, gets smaller and smaller and starts looking more like that dinghy with every project. So here we have pictures of various delivery methods. The low bid environment is fertile ground for the change order game and has been since 1918, when the United States Supreme Court ruled on the Spearn document, which states that the owner who holds the contract with the architect implies a warranty on the information that's provided in the plans and specs. The general contractor is not responsible for that information. The owner is. Many of you have heard my mantra, which is that no plans and specs are perfect. So this whole setup is fertile ground for for changes, for delays, and for antagonistic behaviors. These graphics represent, as I said, 2 different ways a construction contract can be held while meeting public contract code. There are others you've heard of, but let's focus on these for tonight's presentation. On the left is the traditional design bid build method, and you'll see that through the solid lines that the contract with the architect is held with the owner. So the architect provides the design document to the owner, and then the owner provides the design document to the general contractor. That's the environment we were talking about with the Spearn Doctrine. The graph on the right shows how contracts are held when using the design build methodology. You can see that now the owner's contract is held with a design build entity. This entity is typically the general contractor because they have bonding capacity. So you might wonder, why not the architect? That's why. And then the architect holds the contract with the design build entity or the general contractor. So that removes the Spearn doctrine concerns. Now the architect is responsible to the design build entity. And already we can observe a major difference, not only in the way that the contracts are held, but in the collaborative project mentality that stems from the architect working with the general contractor. Now, in both cases, and you'll see on the right-hand side diagram that the subs are tied into the general contractor. That's true for both cases. But in the design-build environment, the subs are in the same pool with the architect. This provides us all with the expertise that comes from the hands-on experience we find with the subcontractors. Now we're moving on to this first graph, which identifies the traditional method or the design bid build environment. You'll see on the graph that the owner and architect are engaged right away, with the engineers coming in later. The agency is the division of the state architect. They come in about the time we get into design development. And at the top of this graph, you'll see a bright red explosion. And that explosion happens when the contractor receives the documents and immediately is asked to provide us with material submittals. The material submittals say, through the whole submittal process, they say, either we agree that the architect's selection of materials is correct, or we disagree, and then we get into arguments about what's an equal or what's a substitute. In the second example I want to show to you, now we see that the owner, the architect, the engineers, the general contractor, the subs, and the division of the state architect all are participating in the project, so that we never reach that what were they thinking moment that we reach when we're in design, bid, build, because they're all at the table. So they all know what each other were thinking during the design process. The dynamics are greatly improved. Alrighty. This is not a panacea for construction, however. It has limits. We can't start using it until the project limit size is $2.5 million or greater. Also, there's a need to carefully step into this process. We need to ensure that the correct team members are selected, that the appropriate documents are in place. We want to allow the design build team maximum flexibility, but we do not want to do that at the risk of our project end product. So it's careful. We have to be careful with how we develop those documents. All right, the district and college staff have spent the last 2 years thoroughly investigating the components and various uses of design build and are confident in our unreserved recommendation to the board that we move forward with this delivery method. Surely we can say without hesitation that we will meet one of the 3 requirements, or all 3, but we only have to meet one by code. And those requirements are that we reduce the project costs, that we reduce the project schedule, or that we provide a feature not available through the design bid build methodology. Design build is a competitive process. Contractors and architects merge into teams, intending to provide us with a winning combination. Many of the teams, this is during the selection process, so many of the teams have previously worked together as the design build entity, and we have observed through watching other districts perform these design build selection processes that we can anticipate either an equal number of people participating in this competitive process or a greater number of participants as compared to design bid build. The 4th bullet on this slide highlights five evaluation criteria as defined by code. You see that one of those criteria is price. A selection committee will review proposals, select interview participants, and finally recommend a design build team to the board based on best value. These 5 criteria that you see in this bullet can be all of the components, or we as a district can decide to include additional components for selection. They have to be carefully defined, however. 10 years ago, 2 studies were performed to compare design build with traditional design bid build delivery methodology. Both studies confirmed better performance results using design build. More recent reports to the Legislative Analyst's Office here in the state of California have confirmed these findings. Finally, heading in this direction, we anticipate dramatic change in the way that we interact with the entire project team and an overall increased quality in the end product. That's the end of my presentation for you today, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Trustee Pendergast.
Yeah, excellent presentation, very succinct. In fact, it reminds me of an excellent presentation you made on lease back.
Yes.
And gets me wondering a couple of things. Is this an alternative to lease back? Is it we can do either one? I'm kind of wondering, are we replacing that? No. Have we used it already and don't like it? I'm just kind of
Those
going
are all
through a
good
bunch of stuff
questions,
in
and
my
I
head
can
right
understand
now.
why you're asking them. At the last board meeting, I said you'll hear about design build in the very near future. In very near future board meetings, you'll hear about the lease-back delivery approach because I'm hoping to recommend it to you for the sciences building. Now, the reason we would use the lease-back delivery method on the Saddleback College campus for the sciences building is because we already have a design in place. So using design build isn't really an alternative for that project. Other buildings that we haven't yet begun the design on, it's, in my opinion, a better approach for us to use design build on those projects. And mostly based on the results and the reports that I've read, but definitely not based on experience because I have little experience with either delivery method.
And then my other follow-up, it sounds, like I said, it sounds really good, and there is research to go with it, which is always nice to hear, that it's not just a fly-by-night thing, but also kind of makes me wonder why so long. I mean, it's been around for 10 years, and it seems to be working, and it just seems interesting that it's taken this long for us to find out about it and learn about it.
Well, we've known about it for no less than 10 years. I've known about it for no less than 10 years. I haven't brought it to this board before because, like I said, I haven't used it before. So I needed to spend the last 2 years really investigating what does it mean, what does it mean to other districts. We have a neighboring district in the San Diego Community College District who has, what is their program? I think it's a $2 billion program with all their bonds and whatnot, and 5 campuses, and in those 5 campuses they've done over 5 design build projects and have really worked the bugs out. So after watching them, I'm feeling confident that we can now perform this delivery method without compromising on the end product. You know, one of the issues is ensuring that we get the quality that we want. I think the documents that they've put together as an example will allow for us to do that.
Trustee Lane.
Yes, a couple of things. Somewhere else in the reading, it talked about. I think you had mentioned a limitation of $2.5 million, and then somewhere else in the reading that we had, or materials that we had for tonight, talked about the AB 1000 and a $10 million bid. So I was a little confused in terms of what the rules are exactly as to when you can and can't use this method of delivery.
You know, I can't speak directly to the 10 million threshold that you're speaking of to me. I do have those guidelines. I don't have them memorized, nor did I see that when I read them. So I can't answer your question. I certainly will find out. But I am conversing with many people who are considered experts in the design build industry, and they're the ones that have shared with me 2.5 million, as well as in my reading of the code.
Well, and I guess another question that I had as well was, it seems to me there's still some incentive on the contractor's part to try and seek change orders later on, where things do come up during the course of the contract, and I guess the idea here is we'd minimize that.
Yes.
It seems to me the biggest thing is it would avoid, again, those low-cost bidders that are just really trying to get their foot in the door and then, change order you to death on the contracts. So I think we're still going to have that process occur, correct?
We will still have change orders in a design build environment. Those change orders will be limited to changes specifically identified by the owner and also unforeseen circumstances. So if we dig in the ground and we find a gas line that we didn't expect. If there is a change relative to the design, the quality of the plans, something missing in the documents, the design build entity becomes responsible for any missing information in the documents. So there's where we have a reduction in change orders. And there is the game that we were talking about before.
Well, so I guess I'm just wondering, how does that shared responsibility with respect to this new entity that's created as a collaboration between, in our case, the district, the architect, and the general contractor and subs actually occur? I mean, who's taking, you talk about this being a separate entity that then would take responsibility for the project.
And the design.
And the design. Okay, so exactly how does that work in the context? I mean, let's say something goes wrong with the job and there's a design flaw, if you will.
I can give you a good example.
Okay, great.
One that I'm living right now, and you'll probably hear more about later. So let's assume that we have a curtain wall system on a building, and that curtain wall system was designed by a manufacturer who has since gone bankrupt. The new manufacturer says, that could never have been built in the first place, and now you need to pay us more money to build it in a different way. If that conversation were to be held in a design build environment, it would be the contractor's responsibility to address that variation and not ours. If that conversation were to occur in a design bid build environment, then we need to meet at the table and get involved in some fairly complicated negotiations. That would be the difference. Did that help?
Somewhat.
Okay, I can answer more. Help me understand your question.
I guess what I'm trying to determine is at what point is it just a cost that the district has to bear versus a responsibility for the architect versus the responsibility for the general contractor?
If it's related specifically to a design error, omission, just flat out missing in the document, anything that's related to design becomes the design build entity's responsibility. So there's no question. That's the way that goes. If, for instance, now let's say that as the owner, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, but the design build entity consists of three parties, as I understand it.
No, it's the architect and the general contractor.
Ah, okay.
I think that might be it. Yeah, I'll show
Yeah.
Maybe that's the part that I
Let's
was
go here.
missing.
So the contract that we hold, it's the owner with the design build entity. In the other case, it's the owner, the architect, and the general contractor. There's two contracts instead of one.
Yeah. Okay, Trustee Meldau.
Which one of the three design-type entities is easiest for us to manage and to have oversight for?
All reports, everything I've read to date leads me to believe it's the design build approach. And what I've witnessed in other districts, I believe that that's the best approach for us to take today. What's easier to manage, there will be a lot less paperwork involved. Let me get to that side, because the conflict that we see when the general contractor comes on and has to review the materials that the architect has assigned to the project, that conflict no longer exists because they're involved in the design. That leads me to believe that the design build process will be easier to manage. I haven't personally done it yet, so I'm reporting to you from a book knowledge, not a hands-on knowledge. But I'm really hoping you give me the opportunity to have that hands-on knowledge, because I truly believe it will benefit this district tremendously.
And I'm assuming you're talking on a regular basis with people that have been through this before.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
For instance, Dave Onstadt down at San Diego Community College District is one person that I'm talking with. I'm talking with Jose Nunez up at the San Mateo Community College District. He was one of the 3 college districts that were involved in the trial basis, the beta version of this. And he's one of the people that I see quarterly up in Sacramento, and he'll hold my hand all the way through this if I need him to. But in addition to that, I will not be flying this alone. Anytime we go into a new environment like we're doing here with this delivery method, we want to have consultants right there, day to day, sitting at the table with us, making sure that our legal documents are doing what they need to be doing, and that our process is defined in a way that protects this district's best interests.
Okay,
Good. I keep going back to the L.A. Community College, City Community College fiasco and the lack of oversight throughout the whole system, and I just don't want us to fall into that.
Let me say that at Los Angeles Community College District, we are aware they had numerous problems. In the course of the investigations, not one of their design build projects was brought forward as a problem project. So that's
Okay.
pretty telling. All right, I'm assuming that this will come back to us in the form of an action item on a specific project.
We have a couple agenda items this evening related to design build. One of them is a resolution asking you to approve moving forward with the design build process.
Okay.
The other is an agenda item asking you to approve our processes consultant so that we can get started. And then design build code requires that on a project by project basis you approve a resolution for that project.
Okay, and we are going to advance those 2 items right after we've finished here. Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you very much.
you.
We will now move and advance 6.1, which is one of those, and then after that, 6.2. So let's go to 6.1, and I believe you'll just stay at the podium for that, correct? And I think so. Okay. Okay, 6.1 is an approval item for to adopt a resolution number 12-12 for design build procurement. And this is for which project? Can you enlighten us?
This is not a project specific. This is to move into the design procurement process and to begin developing the request for proposal, which will include technical specifications, BIM specifications, a whole 2 notebooks full of documents that we have to have in place before we head into a specific project.
Okay. Okay, so that's what this resolution does. And Trustee Meldau.
I move that we adopt the resolution.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Trustee Prendergast. Any questions? Trustee Lang?
Yeah, okay, on this is where I saw that item. It was on Exhibit B, page 5 of 58.
In the Chancellor's guidelines. Would you like me to grab that book?
Yeah,
I have,
please.
so I can-
And it talked about where AB 1000 allowed for community college districts to construct projects using this method, but there it seemed to say that AB 1000 broadened the existing methods of project delivery to include design build for projects with design and construction costs exceeding $10 million.
Yes, thank you. And now that John Ozerovich whispered to me as I went back to my seat, he said that was the previous limit, and it's been changed by legislation, and now that he says that to me, yes, of course, I remember that did happen.
Okay.
It was to enable more greater use of design build because of the original successes that were found in it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, let's vote on the item. Oh, this is a resolution. So do we have a roll call vote? No roll call. Okay, thank you. All right, the matter carries with 4 yes votes and 1 student advisory yes vote and 3 absent members.
Thank
Okay,
you.
You're welcome. 6.2 now. This is consultant services for the development of new design build, construction delivery method, contracts, and documents. This Trustee Lang has a comment.
Yes, one change that I would suggest would be on Exhibit A, page 2 of 9, that you change San Diego Community College District to South Orange County Community College District.
I most certainly will do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good catch.
I move to approve as amended.
Second.
Second that
Seconded
motion.
by Trustee Meldau. All right. Any other questions or comments? I'm still trying to find where it says San Diego.
SD.
Oh, SD instead of SO, CCCD. Okay.
Wow.
It is easy to miss. Yes. All right. Very good eyes. All right. So seeing no other questions or comments, let's vote on the item. All right. Carries again with 4 yes votes and 1 student advisory yes vote and 3 absent. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. We are now back at the consent calendar, and are there any items to be removed from the consent calendar? Trustee Lang.
Yes, I think it's 517. Let me make sure that's right.
GASB.
Yes, 517. Thank you.
Okay, so could I have a motion to approve all of the items with the exclusion of 517?
Move to approve.
Trustee Prendergast?
Second.
And Trustee Meldau seconded. So we will vote on all of the consent calendar items except 5.17 now. Please vote. Okay, matter carries with 4 yes votes, 1 student advisory yes vote, and 3 absent votes. So we will now move to item 5.17. Could I have a motion, please, for item 5.17?
Move to approve.
Trustee Prendergast moved the item.
Second.
Trustee Meldau seconded it. So let's vote on 5.17.
I'm sorry, I have some questions on
Oh,
517.
you
before we
do?
vote.
Okay, you're abstaining, but you want to
No, no.
question it? No?
I have questions about that item.
Okay, go for it.
Vice Chancellor Fitzsimmons. Okay, I was having a difficult time squaring the fees that were indicated in the action item with the backup information that was in the exhibits, and particularly I was able to, I was fine with the KFS part of it. It was the BTC part of it that I was having some difficulty with.
Could you talk into your microphone?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Let me just find where I was. if you looked at the Schedule A list of fees, and I guess you tally that out on a $65 million portfolio, it comes to about $95,000. And the amount, I think, that was indicated in the proposal was $162,450, which led me to believe that perhaps we were missing an additional investment management fee. And it looked also like there could have been additional schedules that were part of this that weren't included in our item. And then I guess the other concern that I have about this item is that it does constitute a 4-year agreement for both parties, and with basically automatic rolling provisions to extend that agreement. And I was concerned about that. So maybe you can address those points.
Okay, let's talk about the length of the agreement first. Since 2007, we have been using Futuris plan that was sponsored by KFS, and it currently is expiring this June. So it was an extensive agreement.
Oh, yeah.
As far as it was greater than 3 years. So what we're
One last point. You also, when you did the comparison schedules, I think Exhibit A2 of 4, you had shown the Futuris net annual fees of just under $496,000, which was a figure that, again, was very different than the fee amount that was presented.
Okay, right.
Okay,
Right.
Thank you.
So basically what we decide, first of all, to go back, is we're talking a little bit about the process we used to analyze. We did an RFP process. It went through a committee that comprised of both the fiscal directors at both of the colleges, as well as myself and Vice Chancellor Brandye, and the District Director of Fiscal Services. And we used a neutral party consultant to help us sort of analyze the RFPs. We did an interview process, and we sort of went through a pretty stringent process to go through to analyze everything. We had various documents in here to show you some of the tables, but there was a lot more information that we analyzed besides what we showed here, to sort of come up with, some of the basic information that was used to make a decision. The decision to go with a total length of time of 4 years, because it's long-term investments, and to change administrators and fund managers, it's pretty extensive to have to go back through that process again. So we wanted to be able to have an out clause in there, which we made very, very stringent on our part to be able to, for the ability to be able to do that, but also have the ability to have that length of time for the stability of the fund. So that was why we chose the initial year plus 3-year annual renewals.
So let me just address that point briefly. I did not see in any of the out clauses here one that would allow us to disengage from these folks if, in fact, their investment performance was, let's say, below what the benchmarks were, for other similar investments in the industry. At least I didn't see that in there. And I'd just be concerned, obviously, for those of our folks that are depending upon long-term benefits, to be able to have your group take action if necessary, if in fact they weren't performing up to standard. So that, again, just expressing a concern on that point. So maybe you can reconcile the fee issue with me,
Okay.
which was the other.
We outlined in the action memo the administration fees, which if you look on the chart, the comparison chart that you showed as the attachment, it's inclusive of administration fees plus investment fees. Whereas in the action memo, we just pointed out the administration fees, which are separate, because investment fees are part of the total, and it's reflective of what the total investment amount is. So as we increase the amount we had invested, for instance, it's $66 million today, the investment fees were based on that as trades were made.
Okay,
Whereas the
it's just-
administrative fee was, that's why we wanted to point that out.
Okay, understand. But it strikes me as being a little bit misleading that we're talking about fees in this item of $216,450, which actually is less than half the fees that we're looking at spending on an annual basis with respect to the program that you've outlined, further in the material.
I'm going to have Kim go up because I had her do a detailed analysis of the fees, and she has that with her. I didn't put it in my packet.
Could
but
you
she does
introduce
have,
her, please?
Yes. Kim McCord is the new District Director of Fiscal Services, and she
Okay.
has that information in her packet.
Okay.
Yeah, as I talked to the consultant today regarding this, with some details, we did actually find a little error that they're working on as well. But most of the investment fees are actually part of the transactional fees, and they're netted out when we see our income. So those fees aren't expenses on our books. But I think for comparing apples to apples, the consultant included the full cost to make sure we didn't lose sight of that, because those transactional fees may or may not get included. So in the proposals, when he gave us that summary so we could compare them equally, he included it, but they aren't part of these contracts. It's not a cost we pay. It's not an expense on our books. It's net of the investment returns that we see.
Okay.
Does that explain that?
Okay. Seeing no further questions or comments, let's vote on the, we have a motion, I believe, in a second, correct? Let's vote on the item. Okay, matter carries with 4 yes votes and 1 student advisory yes vote and 3 absent. We are now at 6.3. And 6.3 is a 5-year construction plan. So who will we have present that? Deborah. Ms. Fitzsimmons. And this is an action item.
Right. Before you have the 5-year construction plan, and you're used to seeing this a little bit later in the calendar year, but we're trying to meet the deadlines associated with our new basic aid board policy and administrative regulations so that we can get this information to that appropriate committee so they can do their work and get a recommendation to you for basic aid. So what you see before us is each year the district is required to submit a 5-year construction plan. It's gone through the college's participatory government process, and as you can see attached, we have the 1-page exhibit that shows the projects in priority order.
Okay. And the Chancellor recommends that we approve the order of priority for the 5-year construction plan. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion for approval, please? I guess we don't. Okay. Trustee Prendergast moved the motion.
I'm still looking.
Oh, you're still looking. I thought I heard you say you moved the motion. Okay. I guess we need to study it just a little bit more. It has occurred that we have modified this as we have gone along for some particular reason, but this is what the overall plan should be. Trustee Pendergast.
Move to approve.
Okay, Trustee Pendergast moves approval, and I will second the item. Don't see anyone else willing to do it. Any questions from other board members? Seeing or hearing none, let's vote on the item. All right, matter carries with 4 yes votes, student advisory yes vote, and 3 absent. 6.4, this is CCCT Board of Directors elections for 2012. And we are being asked to vote on all of these people from all across the state that I don't think many of us know any of them. So
Got lots of literature on.
we did get a lot of literature. So we need to know if anyone would like to nominate any of these various candidates, and recommend that we send our nomination or our vote forward. So it is an approval item, and Trustee Pendergast, is your wanting to speak to this, or is that from the last?
That's from that.
Okay.
Yeah, it appears that they're actually asking the Chancellor to poll the board members for their votes for each of the nominees on the CCCT Board, is the way I read this. That they're asking us to read out, if you will, our list of nominees for the vacancies.
This is true. We have always done it as a part of the board meeting, but we can certainly get to the board. It is an approval item, so it's quite possible, and we have done so in the past, that we don't vote on any of them.
That's possible, and I think in some cases we've also voted on, specific candidates and not necessarily cast all 8 votes.
That's right. So I don't hear anyone wishing to do anything in specific. Trustee Pendergast.
Just to make sure I understand what we're doing from the rookie standpoint. So do we each fill out one of these ballots as a way of communicating to each other who we would like to see, or do we just make motions for individual people, or I'm not making this motion, but
Right.
would it be like I move to vote for the 6 incumbents or something of that nature, which
Well,
then,
there are 8 vacancies, and if you have 8 names you want to put forward to this board, then the board would vote on it so that we could sponsor it as a district, those 8 names.
okay, so you can do 1 person, you can do
That's
5,
correct.
you can do 8. I
That's
see.
correct.
And it would, so then we would vote on that as a board,
That's correct.
and then the Chancellor would take that forward
Right.
with your signature because it says President. All right.
Right.
I'm going to move, just in the sense of camaraderie here, Manny Ontiveros from North Orange County Community College District, since it's local.
Okay, Trustee Lang.
Yes, and I also had Trustee Ontiveros and Trustee Otto from Long Beach Community College District on my list.
Okay, so you're seconding his motion for Manny, and you're adding Trustee Otto.
Well, I think the way this is actually supposed to work is we're supposed to cast our individual votes, and then they're tallied up by the Chancellor or the district, and then that's submitted as I read this item.
Chancellor, do you have anything to enlighten us on this? No. Okay. All right. So I will go with that, and it looks like we have 3 candidates that are 2 people who are willing to recommend 3 people, or 2 people actually, because one of them is the same identical person. All right. Thank you. Anything else on this item? Terrific. Let's move on. 6 point.
We don't vote for those 2?
No, the vote is you making the recommendation. He's going to take that forward. You recommended the same person Trustee Lang did.
Okay.
And he will take that forward, so.
Great.
We will now move to 6.5, approval of agreement for office supplies contract. The Chancellor recommends the board approve the agreement with Office Max Solutions beginning April 27, 2012, and extending for a 3-year period. And the contract is here. Trustee Lang moved it, and Trustee Meldau seconded it. Questions, comments? Seeing none, let's vote on the item. Carries unanimously with 1 student advisory yes and 3 absent votes. That was easy, but that's Staples' motto. Okay. All right, 6.6, Saddleback College Basic Aid Funding for Saddleback College Library Renovation. This is an approval item. Chancellor recommends that the Board of Trustees return $13 million of basic aid funds to the unallocated basic aid account, make them available for redistribution. Wow. All right, moved by Trustee Lang, seconded by Trustee Pendergast. Let's vote on the item, seeing no one wishing to speak to the item. Very good. All right, let's see. Trustee Pendergast did not vote. Okay, matter carries with 4 yes votes, 1 student advisory yes vote, and 3 absent votes. 6.7. These are board policies for discussion and to accept for discussion, approval, and study the following board policies. And let's see, there's a total of 6, total of 6.
This is the first reading of this item.
This
I
is
believe
second,
it's second
this is
reading.
Second reading. You've already
Okay.
seen these first reading.
Okay.
Move approval?
Okay. Moved by Trustee Lang and seconded by Trustee Meldau for approval. Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, let's vote on the item. Okay, matter carries unanimously with 4 yes votes, 1 student advisory yes vote, and 3 absent votes. 6.8. This is, again, these are for review and study, board policies. So there are exhibits A through D.
Move acceptance for review and study?
Okay.
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Prendergast, moved by Trustee Lang. Let's vote on the item. Carries with 4 yes votes, 1 student advisory yes vote, and 3 absent votes. So we are now at 6.9, academic personnel actions. No changes. Do I have a motion to approve this item? Trustee Lang moved the item. Trustee Meldau seconded it. Seeing no comments or questions, let's vote on the item. Carries unanimously 4 yes votes, 1 student advisory yes vote, and 3 absent. 6.10. This is classified personnel actions, no changes. So I need a motion for, moved by Trustee Lang,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Prendergast. Seeing no comments or questions, let's vote on the item. Matter carries unanimously 4 yes votes, 1 student advisory yes vote, and 3 absent votes. We are now at 7.1. And these are information items. These are speakers for Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College. Any comments or questions about the proposed speakers? Okay, seeing none, let's move to 7.2. Board of Trustees has requested regular information reports on basic aid receipts. This is our basic aid report.
There are no changes to this report from last month.
Thank you very much. Seeing no comments, we'll move to 7.3, and this is the facilities plan status report.
I did want to take a minute to review this report with you.
Okay.
Because Facilities Director Brandye D'Lena has made a formatting change to this report, which we hope that you like, and we wanted your feedback on it. Instead of being a total narrative report, she added a couple highlighted areas where you can see under each project a little box where it has the budget, which we thought would be helpful to have a sort of similar template per project so you can look for information quickly in the report and not have to look through the text. So we hope that this new format is something that will be helpful to the board, and we appreciate any comments.
Trustee Meldau.
Yes, I'd like to say it's much easier to read. It's much easier to understand. So I'm all for it. The only thing that I would like to see is that on the project start and projected finish, I would like to have an ongoing status of how far we are behind on any of these projects. Just telling us what the projected finish doesn't tell us whether it's behind the anticipated finish or not. So could we make that change? Otherwise, it's very helpful, so good job.
Okay. Seeing no one else
Oh, I
wishing.
also had a
Trustee
comment.
Lang.
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't see your push button.
Yes, I also thought this was a very helpful report and like the new design. I did have a question about item 7, and I noticed that this item was one that was recommended for the new design build delivery method, even though it was a renovation and expansion project, which it seemed to say, and again, the reading that was provided to us that that method was better used for new projects rather than for renovation-type projects. So I thought I would just query Ms. D'Lena about that.
Okay, I understand that's how the reading references design build, but I feel confident that the ATEP 400 project would be an excellent one for our first experience in design build. We have an environment, being Irvine Valley College, that we're very familiar with, and the next project, which would be a new project over at the ATEP campus with the 2 projected buildings, would be in the environment of not as many known factors. So we want to really do this first one in an environment where we have known variables, which is why we've chosen the A400 project for that. The unknown variable being the city of Tustin, for instance, would be one that would possibly cause challenges.
You think?
Maybe. So we're thinking to
This
experience.
is your way of sticking your toe in the water on this project?
Yes,
if you will.
exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll now move to 7.4, which is the monthly financial status report. Any comments or questions on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to 7.5, and this is a report on the retiree trust fund. Comments or questions? Trustee Lang? No? Okay. We are at 8.0. That is our reports, written reports. And we will start with Louis Long. Oh, we don't have anyone there.
No, Dan is.
Dan Walsh is ill, I believe, tonight.
The Faculty Association will be holding its new officer elections before the next board meeting, right at the end of April. So we will be looking for people to take over leadership of the association and run for those seats. Other than that, I have no report.
Thank you. And Lisa Davis Allen from Irvine Valley's Academic Senate.
I have similar news. The Academic Senate positions for cabinet members, the election has opened and will remain open for nominations through the first week in April for all of the cabinet seats. So we are underway with that. And our hiring process, we have now closed all of our position announcements, and so all of our hires are well underway. 2 things, the full-time faculty of the year, teacher of the year, Marie Delapalme from the dance department, I'm happy to announce. And part-time teacher of the year is Joseph Jurgers, who is our painting instructor part-time. So I would just like to mention that the Fine Arts, the School of Fine Arts has swept this year between painting and dance. Finally, we have one IVC to IVC remaining, April 16th. It's the Puzzles of Process. Can we have a fair vote in November? That will be presented by Professor Tracy Fahimi, who is with the Department of Political Science. It is from 7 to 9 p.m. on the 16th of April in District 101. Thank you.
Thank you. And our Associate Vice Chancellor of Economic Development, Randy Peoples.
Thank you. Good evening. Little information on ATEP. The demolition is going well on our the hangar building 524. They've done the what we call the soft demolition is pretty much finished. By the end of the week, they'll actually start bringing down some of the structure. So that's going well. Also on the chapel building, which would be the last above-ground structure, we're scheduled for demo. The contractor has finally accommodated the city with the required insurance, so they should start within probably a week or two. And I think there's a good chance that by our next board meeting that building will have been completed. That's a pretty quick project. Also, I wanted to note at our last board meeting, as an information item, you took a look at the construction timeline for the ATEP buildings. And those next 2 buildings are actually going to be going through a design phase, probably starting in December, and we'll determine, I guess the board decided tonight that may very well be a design build, and we thank you for that, and we're looking forward to that. And then the construction would actually start about in January 2014, and then about 16 months later, April 2015 is when we think we would open the first buildings, the next buildings at ATEP, as far as timeline. Thank you.
Great, thank you. President of Irvine Valley College.
Thank you very much. I, too, would like to congratulate our Faculty of the Year. I have the wonderful honor to be able to go into the classroom and let them know for the first time that they have been selected. And it's always a challenge to get the heart rate down quickly as the administrators come into the classroom and they're wondering why. So we have to get right on to it and let them know that it's for good reason. And it's always very exciting to do that. We had our senior day just recently on March 6th, and we had 2,600 students attend that, and we have our all of our programs come out and set up booths and provide information for the high school seniors and their parents, and provide tours and talk about how to get enrolled at Irvine Valley College. It was a great success. Wonderful to see the quad completely filled. Also, if you haven't had the opportunity to peruse our new website, this was recently launched. It was designed to be student-centric. It was done through a number of focus groups that were working on actually interviewing students and having them go through some of the beta tests on it to make sure that it was doing exactly what they wanted it to do. And I think it is a great success, so please take an opportunity to take a look at that. And then finally, up on the dais there's a whole series of pieces of information for you, different events, performances that we have, and some of the successes of a few of our faculty. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. President of Saddleback College, Todd Burnett.
Thank you, Madam President. I have 6 things. First, it's already been mentioned a few times. This Saturday is our Saddleback College Foundation Annual Gala. And I hope anybody that's able to make it can please attend. It's sure to be a great event. And tickets are still on sale, so go online. Second, just wanted to thank and congratulate Saddleback College for our healthcare jobs and competitiveness listing session that was sponsored by the White House Jobs Council. As you also saw, our State Chancellor Jack Scott actually did an entire press release, unbeknownst to us, and we just got it just like everybody else that also recognized it. But we were very honored to represent and be chosen by the White House as well as the state for healthcare jobs and training and partnerships. Third, this last week was a big day, and I'm going to probably steal the thunder a little bit of my colleagues to the far right, but it was Classified Staff Development Day, and we were able to recognize our Classified Employee Outstanding Service Award recipient of the year, and that's Valerie Senior. She's our application specialist, too, and our Center for Instructional Design and Distance Education, so congratulations to Valerie. Number 4 is, I sent out an email before, but I just have to say it. We're so proud of this. Our athletic students had their fall honor roll, and 162 out of our 371 student athletes made the honor roll. That means you had to get over a 3.0 GPA, which is pretty phenomenal. It's way above average for the whole college as a whole, and 16 of those students had a perfect 4.0 GPA. Wow. Also like to say that just today, just sent out to the entire campus. As you know, we're all talking about student success. Certainly our state is. And both of our colleges and our district are making lots of leeway and doing lots of issues. We just sent out today a survey that we're doing for all of our college employees, faculty, staff, and management, asking for them what do they do and what do they see their jobs contributing to a student's success along the various pathways. And if you recall, we did it at the Chancellor's opening session, and I came forward and talked about the different pathways of success for each of our students. And we're going to be doing a survey. It's part of our efforts overall to bring campus discussions on this, and we look forward to seeing the results. Today actually was my first interview of many interviews to come over the next 2 months of our faculty rehiring. As you know, we're hiring 30 new faculty, and today literally was the first interview on a first position. So it starts today, and looking forward to getting those 30 faculty hired. Finally, I'm very pleased. It just happened last week. Saddleback was the recipient of a national award. It's called the Paragon Awards. It's by the we won the Silver Award for the online marketing category, and this is from the National Council on Marketing and Public Relations conference, which just happened in March 13th. This award was for the team's promotion of the Saddleback Mobile. an outstanding product that was developed by District IT. Saddleback's marketing team launched a campaign that included flyers, online ads, and a website that provided students with information on Saddleback Mobile and encouraged them to download the app. The results were impressive. Since the launch of the product in February 2011, the Saddleback Mobile app has been downloaded 7,249 times, an average of 16 per day. Congratulations to the folks who worked on this. Jenny McHugh, Director of Public Information and Marketing. Amy Wheeler, she's Public Information Officer. Donna Pribble, Senior Graphic Designer. And Mike Martinez, our Webmaster. And, of course, thank you to District IT, who built a superb app that is popular with our students. That's it.
Great, thank you. And speaking about technology, Vice Chancellor of Technology, Robert Bermucci.
No report.
Okay, and next is our Vice Chancellor of Human Resources.
The District Services Classified Employee of the Year was Patty Hilton, an HR specialist. We're very proud of her. She is a phenomenal person. And as you heard already, HR is in the middle of a massive hiring process. For the third year in a row, we're hiring the most faculty in the state of California for a community college. One of the things that we're doing this year, last year we introduced a process to track hiring. We borrowed it from FedEx, believe it or not, so people can see where they're at in the process. This year, we just placed a purchase order for iPads. We will have a totally paperless hiring process for faculty on about 6 committees altogether who volunteer to try something new and innovative. So that'll be rather exciting this year for us.
Super, great. Okay, our Vice Chancellor of Business Services, Ms. Fitzsimmons.
Nothing additional to my written report.
All right, thank you. And now we are at the President of IBC Classified Senate, Dennis Gordon.
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, I wanted to report, we had a number of employees attend the Classified Staff Development Day out at the Boy Scout facility at Irvine Regional Park. It was fantastic. I want to thank all of the board members and certainly the administration for making the day available. It was absolutely a great event for all of our people, and we really appreciate it. We also had the honor of recognizing our outstanding classified employee, Barry Miller, who was given the award at the event. And then on the 8th of March, a couple of our officers attended the 4CS workshop here at Saddleback College, and Angela Mahaney, who's our past president, was elected vice president of the Southern Region for 4CS, and I was elected to the Regional 2 representative for this area. So, just wanted to
Great, thank you very much. And our CSEA president, Janice?
Yes, we have been in the process of negotiating the financial package of the collective bargaining agreement that can be mutually beneficial to the employees in the district. CSEA has sent out a survey to potential retirees in an attempt to ascertain what level of interest there would be to retire if they were giving some kind of additional financial assistance, as the classified employees do not receive any medical benefits after the age of 65, which has been a disaster for some of them. The response to the survey did indicate a good level of interest that would benefit the community from an economic standpoint, as replacement positions can be created for those taxpayers in this area that are out of work. According to the American Institute of Economic Research, the Federal Consumer Price Index is up 3.1%, and transportation costs are up to 21% due to speculation of supply, and food has also risen 3.56%. All of these factors have had a major impact on classified employees and justify the increase CSEA seeks for fair wages in negotiations. CSEA has been active in lobbying for educational dollars and initiatives to be on the ballot in November. Fair wages and safety for workers is what unions stand for and protect. As you know, this week it's been very sad in Bangladesh how those employees were not protected, and there were no regulations on safety implemented, and they all died in the garment fire, something that American workers are protected from, and we have to remember that those values of safety are very important, are American values, and people in the global world shouldn't be subjected to such harsh situations. Thank you very much.
Okay, and our Saddleback College Classified Senate
Thank
President.
you, Dan, for the excellent
Dan.
report. It kind of goes along with creating that positive campus climate. And one of those things which people have mentioned was we call it Staff Development Day. But it's during spring break because we're usually busy helping students during the first week of school. But this year we had it at the Irvine Ranch Outdoor Education Center. And if you don't know, it's part of the Irvine Park. And it's supported by the Boys and Girls Club. The web address, since I have people watching, outdooreducationcenter.org. They did a wonderful kind of deal with us because we had a large group of employees. In fact, we had the most ever that we've ever had at a classified day. We had 230 that actually attended. Within the first 3 hours of registration, we had 160. That actually almost matched what we've had in previous years. So there was a lot of interest. Of course, our theme was sound body, sound mind, and sound school. We had 2 keynote speakers. One was Jane Horton, the director of the Irvine Ranch Outdoor Education Center, and the other one was Dr. James Ferris, dealing with difficult behaviors. We also had some breakout session, which included some activities such as archery, BB gun, yoga, dealing with workplace negativity. We even had a dietitian. You even had an option of touring the center, which everyone was very impressed. Of course, we gave out our service pins. We also gave out the Saddleback College, Irvine Valley, and the District Service Employee of the Year. We actually got prizes donated. We raffled, got over, I think, $4,000 that we're donating to Chalk. We do that every year. On a scale of 1 to 5, we actually had the average score of the rating for the day was 4.75. People gave us plenty of excellent comments, and I'll just pick one real quick. One of the comments, very refreshing and an attitude changer. The Classified Staff Development Day did an excellent job. It's good to meet people in person after speaking with them on the phone for years. Loved the whole group picture. Felt pampered and rejuvenated. Thank you, and thank you for the extraordinary day, and thank you to the Chancellor for providing the additional funding for all the extra employees. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our Associated Student Government President for Saddleback, Austin DeSoto.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be short so everyone can go home. But on Thursday is going to be Saddleback College's senior day, which means the return of the infamous In-N-Out food truck, which is something that at least I look forward to every year. And starting next week will be Student Government's Awareness Week, which is a program that's done every year, but what we're most excited about this year on top of our normal speakers and various events is we're going to be starting our own clothesline project. It's something we've actually had, at least in recent history, every year at Saddleback, but we've always borrowed another association's one. If you don't know what a clothesline project is, it's to raise awareness of domestic violence, where we can have women that have been victims of domestic violence in the past will come in and design a T-shirt and try and express their emotions on the T-shirt, with each T-shirt color representing a different form of violence. And you hang it up in the clothesline in public, and eventually throughout the years it'll grow and grow into a big display that can't really be missed. At the end of April is going to be Earth Week, which is being planned by the Environmental Awareness Club this year with help of ASG when it comes to planning and publicity. But it's nice to see a club's going to be taking over one of our major events. That's something we're really excited about. And I look forward to seeing everyone on Saturday at the gala. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. And we are at the end of our meeting. I would like to ask that we close this meeting tonight in memory of Lee Rhodes, a former trustee of this board. Thank you very much.